This is something you do afterwards. So if a venture capitalist makes 20 bets, one bet comes true, the venture capitalist says, I knew that team was a good team. I invested in good people. I knew they were hardworking. I knew they were smart. I knew that was a winning team. You could then ask the venture capitalist, well, what about the other 19 bets you made? At the point of investing, did you think those teams sucked and you invested anyway? No, that person was 20 for 20. Every one of those teams, that person thought was great, right? So what happened 19 out of 20 times? And the venture capitalist will probably say, well, my partners did those deals. It wasn't me. That's another important life lesson. That's how it works. So it's very hard. You know, right now, if I were an investor, I would say, yeah, I knew that Larry and Sergey were great founders of Google. And I knew that David Filo, and Jerry Yang were great founders of Yahoo. And I knew that Pierre Omidyar was a great founder of eBay. And I knew that, go down the line, right? I knew that Ed Williams, great founder of Twitter. I knew that Mark Zuckerberg had great potential at Facebook. Then you have to ask, well, what about the other 19 assholes that you invested in? What happened with those people at that point? You thought they were great too, right? They had the same pedigree. They went to Harvard, they went to Princeton, they did Carnegie Mellon again. They did all the good stuff. They had 2,400 in their SATs. They had a 4.2 average. They all had that. What happened 19 out of 20 times? That's the problem with the people theory. It's only useful to say you invest in people after the fact. So that's the danger. So when this person comes, you ask him, and I promise you he's going to say, I invest in people. And what he really wants to say is, I invest in people as long as the company is going well until I fire those people. That's the entire true statement. So I'll tell you a way you can avoid this problem, which is don't take venture capital. You should avoid venture capital. Think of venture capital as crack. Okay? Crack makes you feel really good, but it can probably kill you. So you're going to have a crack dealer coming in here in a few weeks telling you to take crack. Guess what? He's going to say crack is good. Right? He's not going to say crack sucks. So the problem with venture capital is that among other things, it dilutes your ownership. It does a lot of bad things. It makes, now this person's going to be breathing down your neck. This person is going to interfere. Don't get me wrong, venture capital can work. Obviously it has worked. But to the extent possible, delay it or try to avoid it. Really, really. Now, luckily you live in a time where you can avoid crack. And the reason why you can avoid crack is because almost everything that you need to start a company today is free or cheap. So just go down the list, okay? So, you need infrastructure. Well, guess what? 10 years ago, 15 years ago, you had to buy rooms full of servers. You had to buy servers. Then you had to have people administer the server. And then you had to have multiple rooms of servers because if there was an earthquake in Silicon Valley, you didn't want your website to go down, so you had to put one someplace else, right? And so then you had multiple servers with multiple people running them, and you had this enormous overhead. Well, today, you now host your company at Amazon, or you host it with Rackspace. So everything is virtual. You buy petabytes in the sky, right? You don't buy hardware anymore. So you don't need to buy hardware. You used to have to buy tools. $1 million license for an Oracle SQL database. You don't buy tools anymore. Every tool is open source or free or cheap. So now you don't need to buy tools. You used to have to rent commercial real estate because you wanted all your programmers and marketing people in one room. Now everybody works virtually, so you don't need as much commercial real estate. You used to have to buy an ad in the Wall Street Journal to announce your remarkable new spreadsheet, right? Well, guess what? With social media, with Pinterest and Twitter and Facebook and Google+, now most of your marketing is going to be based on social media, which is free and fast and ubiquitous. I mean, it's kind of hard to spend money on social media. You really have to be stupid to spend money on social media. You'd have to say to yourself, I'm so stupid, I'm going to hire a digital agency who's going to assign people who have less followers than we do to tell us how to use social media. Okay, the mental calculation that you are making if you use an outside agency. So I'm telling you, marketing is free or cheap. So now, we've kind of gone down the list, you know, infrastructure is free or cheap, people are free or cheap, tools are free or cheap, marketing is free or cheap. What's left for you to spend money on? Not that much. And so now that there's not that much money to spend on, not much to spend money on, you don't need as much venture capital. If you need venture capital, you don't need to suck up the venture capitalists. Life is good. That's the play today. So now, today when you show up to venture capitalists, you should show up with a prototype. You should show up with a prototype that's shipping and people are using. And the reason why you want their capital, at least this is what you're going to tell them, is that you need it for expansion, which is different than saying we need it to create our prototype. You cannot show up to a venture capitalist today saying we need money to create a prototype because you flunked the IQ test. The IQ test is you should have done it and used all this free stuff to get to the point where now you have a prototype. To say that you need money to get to the prototype, now obviously this is not about biotech, right? So if you're curing breast cancer, you're not going to do it by crowdsourcing and working part-time and all that. You really need to spend $500 million in FDA tests and all this kind of stuff. But for technical business, this kind of business, kind of social media, digital content business, you have to show up with a prototype. The beauty of that is now you show up and you say, well, you know, we worked on this project in Anne's class, and you know, we built, here's the story. We built the product that we wanted to use. We saw this great need that we personally experienced. So we created this product. We did everything on the slide. We stole computers from Stanford. We hosted it on the Stanford server. Nobody could figure that out. You know, we drafted people from the comp-sci department. We told them that, you know, this is an internship. We'll give you a reference when you need it. You know, whatever you do, you lie, cheated, you steal, somehow you rub two sticks together, you created this prototype. To your utter amazement, people started using the prototype just like you thought they would, just like you did. And now, so many people are signing up that, my God, you cannot keep on top of it. So you need money to pay for the S3 hosting at Amazon, and you need to hire some, you know, MBA types who are going to like do the sales and the biz dev because you're just the nerd and the engineer, you know. So that's why you need money, which is very different than saying you need money to build the prototype because you're so freaking clueless and you think you need money to build a prototype. Right? So try to hide your cluelessness. And so I think that's the great pitch today. That's the challenge I give you. Show up with a prototype and the dogs are already eating the food. It is a much stronger position that you show up to a venture capitalist saying, I need your money to expand as opposed to create. It's very different. From the venture capitalist side, you know, they have to pay higher because there's less uncertainty, right? You have shipped, the dogs are eating the food. They have to pay more. On the other hand, there's much greater information. One of the big risks, two of the big risks are removed, or at least substantially reduced. The two big risks are, can this team really deliver this product technically? And even bigger risk, if they could deliver this product technically, will the dogs eat the food? And if you can show up with a product that's shipping and being eaten, man, that takes a lot of uncertainty off the table. That is the goal. That should be your goal. And knock on wood, if you can figure out a business model quickly, then you don't need to raise venture capital. That would be the ideal way to do this. Okay? So, questions? Yes?
So I wanted to ask, since you hate venture capital, what is your opinion on incubators like Y Combinator? Or
It's an interesting thing. So I think Y Combinator, the value they add is the expertise. And there's two things. One is the expertise of Paul, you know, because he's seen it all. He can help you avoid mistakes that every other company has made. That you think you're unique, but you're making the same mistake everybody else did. So he can, you know, help you optimize. That's one thing. The second thing is, it is really, it's good to be amongst other companies who are facing similar challenges so that you can have cross-fertilization of ideas and stuff. Okay, so that's good. The social aspect, the expertise of Paul. The flip side is that, you know, does everybody need to be in an incubator to succeed? Like if you don't get into Y Combinator, if you don't get into 500 startups, does that mean you will fail? And the answer to that is absolutely not. That, you know, those things can help you perhaps succeed faster, avoid more mistakes, but I don't think that everybody needs to be in an incubator. And not every incubator adds, you know, great value. Because at some level, they're a building, right? I mean, let's just be honest here. Not every incubator has experts who are telling you, you know, what to do. So, I would say it'd be great if you got into either of those things. I don't think it's necessary, nor is it sufficient. There are plenty of deaths in those incubators. What else? Yes.
So the first thing people ask is, what is this burning need that you're solving? What is the problem you're solving?
Yeah.
And in the approach that you outlined, you might not have a need or a problem. You just want to build something.
That's absolutely
that's
true.
a great idea.
You might not have a burning need.
So what do? Do you come up with something to just answer that question, or do you tell them your approach is wrong? What do you do to fight that?
Your job is to catalyze lust. Okay? So there are many ways to catalyze lust. One way, the traditional way, is there are Fortune 500 companies. Duh. Each of them have, I don't know, on average, pick a number, 50,000 employees. Those 50,000 employees all have to track, I don't know, HIPAA compliance. And so if you take 500 times 50,000, you can see this total market, and wow, there's really no way for companies and HR departments to track HIPAA compliance or Obamacare, I don't know, make something up, right? And so the person's sitting there saying, wow, 550,000, that's a deep pocket, those are large companies. The person starts lusting after this market. So that's one way, that's kind of the, you know, build the lust objectively, mathematically. The other kind of way is to say, all right, so, you know, let me show you a demo. And you show them a demo, and it just sucks the eyeballs out of their head. And they're like, wow, you know, this is so cool, this is so beautiful, this is like, you know, it's a completely different way. And so if you can catalyze that lust, the evidence of that lust is that the person is now telling you, oh yeah, you know, so I'll show you Canva later, right? So Canva enables you to create graphics online. Think of it as Photoshop for the rest of us. Online, free, fast, and easy. Okay? 3 things that Photoshop is not. So, you know, you may say to yourself, well, Adobe has that market sewn up. There's no reason. The people who need to create graphics are designers. They don't need a free, fast tool because they want Photoshop. They want to charge one, right? So you're skeptical. But then I show you this thing where I'm just going to create these beautiful templates and I drag this image in, I make this ad in 30 seconds and all that. And you flip the other way. Now you're saying, yeah, you know, like, God damn, my spouse who runs a pizza parlor, you know, he's paying like $500 for someone to make him a stinky little 300 by 250 banner ad. And now he could do that banner ad himself. And he's trying to make people pin pictures of his pizza to Pinterest, right? And there's no way for them to do it well, so he could put out this graphic where the pizza is already beautiful and in this beautiful pin, and they could pin it for him and all that. So if you catalyze lust, people all of a sudden they start like, you know, selling themselves. That's what you want, to sell themselves. The flip side of that is, you know, using this pizza example, the flip side of that is, so you go to some like Standard & Poor's database, you say, oh, in the United States there are 500,000 pizza places. 500,000 pizza places, let's say they all have to create some kind of advertising. You know, let's say they make 5 ads a year, so that's 2.5 million ads a year, 2.5 million ads a year. You know, how are they making those ads? If I could just get 1% of those 500,000 or 2.5 million ads, you know how many graphics that would be? That just doesn't move me, because that number is not big enough, right? So I'm telling you, the dating analogy really works. You need to catalyze lust.